2,500 kilometers ago, I got myself a set of Alexrims Boondocks 3 bicycle wheel set. This is the front wheel of the set, and over here I have the matching rear wheel. In this video, I will get you close-ups of everything. We'll share with you about the hub and bearing, what you're getting for your money's worth, as well as we'll look at the overall condition of the wheel in terms of corrosion and scratches. We'll explain a little bit about wheel mounting options, because the wheel set comes with different spacers and adapters to allow different geometric mounting options of the wheel. Very handy. And most importantly, we'll explain and share with you how the wheel has been holding up for me and under what conditions. This wheel is 700C size, or road-going bicycle wheel size, that's mounted to this gravel/cyclocross bicycle frame, 2016 Norco threshold aluminum upside down. The wheels have only been used on paved surfaces. So even though it's a gravel frame, whatever. Never been off-road, never been on a trail, never been in soft surfaces such as sand or mud, or never been on rocky surfaces or trails or descending hard on a mountainside. No. It's only been used on paved surfaces. Now the condition of the paved surfaces aren't rosy either. The paved surface allows high-speed travel, but I hit surface imperfections at high speed. So impact or shock loading of the rim is what's being considered here. So let me describe the condition of the road a little bit. It's a road that's got a high traffic. It's a truck route as well, multiple lanes. The condition is pretty good, but there are patch on patch sections in it here and there, as well as sometimes cracks in the pavement that gets filled with tar or not by the city eventually. But there are also structures on I have a 10% downhill section where there is a pedestrian underpass made of concrete and dirt backfilled against it, and the whole thing paved over with asphalt. So descending on this 10% downhill, where I hit speeds of between 70 and 80 kilometers an hour, and that's not imaginary, that's GPS verified on a daily basis. So when I hit these, the road settles or heaves or whatever, gets misaligned between different sections of the road, plus I have railroad crossings. So when I hit these misaligned pavement sections, even though the height of the misalignment is maybe half an inch or 1 inch or whatever between the patch-on-patch sections or the railroad crossing, my speed is up to 70, 80 kilometers an hour. On flat surfaces, between traffic lights, I go between 30 and 40, 35 on average kilometers an hour. And that's the speed I hit these surface imperfections at. So it's nothing like casually cycling around a beach in sand. Okay, so high speed impact loading is what the wheels are under on a daily basis. On top of it, let's talk about a little bit corrosion and precipitation. There hasn't been road salting yet. The 2,500 kilometers, let's see, that was 6 months ago, 99 commuting days, and no road salting yet, but it was just wet. So the condition that you're going to see on it, I just cleaned off the factory applied grease, which turned into grime and muck. So that's what was cleaned off, and what you see is ungreased, unlubricated surfaces, clean surfaces. I'm going to re-lubricate everything, but for this video I'll show you some dry fit, some dry assembly. The load on the wheel, so those are the speeds and those are the road conditions. The load on the wheel is between 215 to 220 pounds. With my gear, a small backpack with rain gear in it or whatever, because 3 months of dry and 3 months of wet. So far 6 months that this wheel has seen about 3 months of wet, and over the year here in the Pacific Northwest at sea level we have 1200 millimeters of rain. That is about 48 inches of rain, just roughly. So a lot of rain, and I don't go to higher elevations, just the highest is about 330 meters, so that's about 1,000 feet. And so no road salting whatsoever, but a lot of rain. And rain gets mixed in with the dirt on the road. It turns into some abrasive slurry. It's not the same as going off-road in soft muck or mud, nothing like that. So high impact loading at high speeds and just rainwater, but there is some corrosion to consider. So those are the conditions, and those are the loads on the wheel. How has the wheel been so far? Fantastically well, absolutely no issues whatsoever. There's not a speck of corrosion anywhere. On the spoke nipples there are some scratches that I caused with parking the bicycle, and I'm using 35mm wide huge fat tires that's bulging out wider than the rim here. It's about 30mm deep, and no corrosion whatsoever or on any of the spoke nipples, or here at these ends of the spoke here, or at the bends. Nothing on the flanges of the rim, nothing on the spacers, no corrosion anywhere, no corrosions inside the bearing either. So let me explain a little bit about the mounting hardware here, and let's get to the bearing. The front wheel is configured in one of the geometric options. As is, it goes through or mounts with a 15mm through axle, which goes through this spacer, and then the threaded end of the through axle gets mounted into the fork leg, and then exert a clamping force to hold the wheel in place. So if I pull out the spacer, which doesn't pull out with just this much force, because at on the other end you have this matching cap, they snap together like so with just this much force, and so this is what's inside the wheel hub, and this goes through and they thread into the bicycle frame, and the bearing that's inside the hub, pressed inside the hub. Let me just show you. There it comes apart with minimal force. The bearings are, you get the idea, it's the wrong size. I just grabbed this for demo. So the bearings are on this hub, or on this spacer here inside the hub. What is important is where the bearings are mounted on the front wheel. There are no scuff marks. It's not gouged out. It's not corroded. It's just being cleaned, and that's there, and that's all that happened to it. The bearings inside the hub, of course, come with the side seal, looking more like this, with the seal fitted in place. So this is how I mounted my wheels. There's another spacer available that's never been used in this case for quick axle, or sorry, for quick mounting, like so. Still the original factory amount of grease still on it, and the spacer is made of aluminum or aluminium depending on the market you're in, and through this smaller opening there, this quick release skewer goes through, and this clamping mechanism can exert the same clamping force on the fork legs and hold it in place. So this is a mounting option that's included with the wheel set. You don't have to buy this separately. This comes with the wheel set. Just have to swap the spacers to match your bicycle frame. I hope that makes sense. Let me take you off the tripod. We'll show you the condition and brand of bearing that's installed. There's also a spacer bar inside the hub between the two bearings, and you can see here at 11 o'clock or so the brand is HCH, that's Hotel Charlie Hotel, and the bearing size is 6903 182HS2 Hotel Sierra. This 6903 bearing size is its bearing designation, and at the front here is its actual size, 30 millimeters on its that's its larger diameter here. 18 millimeters is the inside diameter, and 7 millimeters wide, like so. That's the nominal size on the 6903 for the front. The rear is gonna be really similar, just one digit different and a little bit different in size. So something like this, just for show and tell. So one of them is 30, the other one is 28. They are just, if I line them up, they are slightly different, something like that. Okay, there are other bearings out there available. You can, if you don't like the one that your wheels come with, you can, this is from a motorcycle, but just for SKF brand, NTN brand, FAG, or whatever other brands are also available, decent bearings instead of no-name Chinese bearings. So, however, the wheel and the bearing has been working fantastically well for me, and is absolutely, it rolls very fine, very smoothly, and is absolutely without an issue. Also, notably, there's no corrosion anywhere on it, on the edges of the ring here or anything, but that has to do with filling this space here with grease before putting the spacer or this adapter flange on it. That's gonna spread that grease there. Also going to lubricate this, even though this is aluminum or aluminium, it's not for preventing corrosion on this, but for preventing corrosion on the edges of the bearing there, because if the edges corrode, it will leak at the edge of the seal. If water gets in between the corroded metal ring, the inner raceway there, and the edge of the seal there, then it doesn't matter what brand bearing it is, it doesn't matter if it's ceramic, it doesn't matter what its rolling resistance is, if water gets into the rolling elements, the bearing balls, it's toast in no amount of time. Okay, short amount of time. So that's how these spacers and mounting options work, and that's how that front wheel is looking. So it's in really good condition. The rear wheel is very similar and is configured to mount with one of these skewers, and that has been removed from the hub and the freewheel. I mount the wheel with the skewer, so it's got the end caps that are smaller. The skewer goes through, otherwise it's hollow like so. Again, no corrosion, but on the rear wheel, there's more load on the rear wheel. This is where the wheel bearings run, and you can see some scuff marks, especially here, as well as this is where the freewheel bearings run. There is load here, and this one doesn't catch my nail anywhere, but this one in one direction, somewhere, there's a little bit of gouging to this. Minimal. It's minimal, okay. But issue is noted, and I really don't have a complaint about it. When you remove this adapter from the wheel, which is the hub and freewheel assembly, the end cap only fits through here, so it's not possible to put this wider flange through here. The wider flange end comes in from the brake rotor or brake disc side, and when this comes out of the hub, the freewheel with a little bit of wiggling falls out or falls off, looking like this. The freewheel mechanism has a couple of components. The old grease is going to hold it together, and the fresh grease that I'm going to put in, which is soft grease grade number 2 on the NRGI grading scheme of things. You can look it up what grade 2 means in terms of softness of grease. So, sorry, wrong hardware. There is this little bit of spacer ring inside the Freehub here, which has just a little bit of scuffing on it, minimal amount there, and that's how this sits there inside the Freehub. There are some spring plates here and some engagement pawls that I'm gonna show you. So these will maybe not fall out, but easy to lose, and maybe I can put in 2 of these into slots on the Freehub. You can see some of these spring plates there, and these pawls go in place like so, compressing that spring plate like so. So this is the correct assembly, dry assembly. Everything needs to be thoroughly lubricated because these are hardened steel and I do not want these to corrode whatsoever. So this is how they look like when they are installed correctly. And this step inside in this engagement pawl is facing in this direction out. The step here engages geometrically with a tooth ring that's press fit into the hub. We'll show you in a moment, but these will just fall out like so without the grease holding them in place. Don't lose the spring plates. The spring plates don't drop out, but found it. So don't lose the spring plates. They are tiny and they are bouncy, and don't bend them ideally, and they are somewhat finicky. There, that's back in place. So I'm gonna need to take them out and grease everything. Especially do note, so here is a rubber seal right here. I'm gonna fold up the edge of it a little bit with this tweezer here. I don't know if you can see it. I'm lifting the edge of this really soft rubber there, and so this rubber seal here lies tight against a recess on the hub side. It is in front of this toothed ring, and it is right here at the edge. Let me just get you off the tripod again. It's looking like so on a close-up there. So I'm gonna fill all this space with grease as much as I can. It is especially here where the seal goes. Let's see if I can do this with, yeah, this is where this soft rubber seal lies against. The engagement pawls ratchet along this tooth ring, and if I can look at the bearing, its branding is here at 9 o'clock, and all it says Taiwan. That's not even a brand, whatever. And its size is 6902, like I said, so 28 millimeters outside diameter, 15 millimeters inside diameter, and 7 millimeters thick or wide. So no issues with the bearings whatsoever, and their edges are free of corrosion. There's this spacer bar behind it that's easy to move in and out of alignment or way. Obviously has to line up in order for this spacer bar to go through, because it's not gonna go through unless it's perfectly lined up. So that needs a little bit of fiddling, and there we go, that's more like it. And this needs to be fed in from the brake rotor side like so, and then you can put the freewheel, the greased up freewheel on it, line it up like so. There is, don't forget this ring as well, and the engagement paws, and line it up. So that's how you put it together. So if you pull out that spacer bar, they all are gonna fall apart like this. And yeah, don't panic, just don't lose the components, and it's gonna be just fine. Clean it up. So I'm gonna prepare this in expecting road salting conditions. We don't have too many snowy days, maybe 10 days in a year with necessitating road salting, whatever, in January, February. But wet snow melts the same day or whatever within a week at sea level. So that's what I'm preparing my wheels for, filling it with grease basically everywhere I can. And yeah, so far so good. No signs of corrosion, flaking, peeling or anything anywhere on the hub, spokes, spoke nipples, nothing. So that's basically. Oh, last thing I want to mention, that this 35mm tire that I mentioned in passing helps with the high-speed shock absorption, or mitigating those impact forces a little bit, lessening those impact forces that are transmitted to the wheel system, spokes, rim, hub, everything. And obviously no structural disintegrations, but also the wheel is true. It runs straight. It never needed alignment. None of the spokes ever needed replacement or tightening or anything of that nature. It's out of the box and has been used since without any adjustment or any touching. This is the first time they get cleaned and prepped for maybe a little bit of harsh winter. So, thank you very much for watching. It's a long video, but that's basically all the details that are relevant for if you're considering, I don't know, Christmas time. This set of wheels, I have no complaints whatsoever about these wheels. Thank you very much for watching.